Hi everyone, and welcome to Creative Chelsey. If you like this video, please let me know by giving it a thumbs up or commenting below. If you want to see more of my videos, press the subscribe button and click on the bell for notifications. If you need any Stampin' Up! Products to make these cards, you can visit my online store and the link is in the description box below. When you purchase Stampin' Up! Products through me, you can earn free products. Check out my current customer appreciation products on my blog, and the link is listed below in the description. Today, I'd like to share with you some alternative cards I made using the August 2021 paper pumpkin kit called Hope Box. So earlier this week, I unboxed this kit and created the original cards, and you can watch that unboxing video or any of my other alternative cards by clicking on the link in the top right corner. So I really loved these cards. I love the colors, I love the images, and especially the sentiments. And so I went ahead and created some alternative cards, and we're going to make those today. So these are the alternative cards that I came up with, and they all use this die cut here that came in the kit. And so we're going to be creating all three cards today in this one video. So the first thing we need to do is actually adhere the die cut to the card base. And these things are all part of the kit. To do that, I want to use some liquid glue instead of glue dots because we're cutting it up. I want to make sure that all of those pieces stay in place. And so I'm going to start with a paper towel underneath, and that's to catch any excess glue. And then I'm adding some liquid glue, and then with just a piece of a sponge, I'm going to take that glue and dab it onto the back side of this die cut. So this just goes over. So these little spiral circles, they go over these two circles here. So make sure to line those up. And then once everything is in place, you can gently remove the outside cardstock. And then just press that down to make sure everything adheres. And we're just going to put that off to the side, and we'll come back and cut that into sections in a minute. So the next thing we're going to do is let's work on this card. So I've taken the rainbow piece and we've cut it into 3 sections. Those 3 sections are 1 3/8 inches. And so we'll just go ahead and measure that out. So there's 1, 2, 3/8. And we'll cut those into 3 pieces. Then what we're going to do is use our grid paper, and we are going to line up the pieces where we want them so that so they stay in a rectangle shape and then there's a gap. So you want to make sure they're in the right order. So they go like this, so they should still flow really nicely. So just begin by lining it up on one of your grid lines. And our finished size that we're looking for is 4.5 inches. So we can just, from this center line, we can count out 4 inches. So 1, 2, 3, 4.5. So this is the line we need to line up the bottom piece to. And then we can kind of just eyeball this middle piece and make sure that it's centered between those. So then to pick those up, you're going to use some washi tape or other removable tape, and you just want to make sure it's long enough to adhere to all 3 pieces. And then you can just kind of double check that it's still, didn't move. So on the other side. Okay, so now that you've got your pieces where you want them, we're going to adhere these with dimensionals. So you can just go ahead and add dimensionals. If you want to put one in each corner, you can. We're going to put this on a card base of basic white. It's the thick cardstock. I really like using the thick cardstock for my card bases. So then you're going to remove the paper backing from the dimensionals, and you're going to add this to the center of your card. So then you just want to pull gently so everything's nice and straight, and just eyeball it so that it is right in the center of your card base. And then once that's in place, you can gently and carefully remove the washi tape. And you'll want to hold on to this because we'll be using it again for our card number 2. All right, so now let's move to our die cut piece. It should be dry, and we'll grab our paper trimmer. So what we're going to do is we're going to actually trim right there at the 4 1/4 inches, and that should be right on the score line of the card base. Make sure to hold on to this side. We'll be using that for another card. And then here we're going to trim each side at 1 1/2 inches. So line up the first side, and actually because there's layers here, we need to flip it over, and we're going to score it instead of cut it. So take your scoring blade and you're making a mark here, and we're going to just use scissors to cut. So then flip it over and do the same thing, 1 1/2 inches, and score. Then you'll take a pair of paper snips, and right along that score line, you're going to cut. And this just guarantees that you're not going to accidentally tear the die cut. Sometimes when you use these blades, and because it's so delicate, it catches, and then it will rip the die cut. And this just will do a nice cut through it instead. And the score line helps us make sure that it's nice and straight. So hold on to this piece, and then you're going to grab the one where the cut is on the left. That's where we're going to add our piece onto our card. This one is for our second card. So put that off to the side. We're going to fussy cut now around this die cut piece. So this will get added to our card base like that. Before we do that, I want to stamp some splatters. This image does come as part of the stamp set that was in the kit. So here are all the stamps that came in the kit, and this is the splatter that we're going to use. And then we're also going to use the sentiment "where there is," and "there is faith." So we're going to stamp that in Blackberry Bliss, which is the color of Stampin' Spot you do receive in your kit. I just like to use my large ink pad. It just makes things a little faster for my videos. So I want it to be a little lighter in color. So we're going to ink it up, stamp off on some scratch paper, and then stamp onto that pattern paper here. Just like that. While we have the ink pad out, let's go ahead and stamp our greeting. I've got 2 of the small rectangles that came in the kit, and I've placed the greetings onto a clear block and just ink those up full strength and stamp them right in the center. This one goes down first. I'm going to add a little adhesive to 3 areas here. One at the top, one in the middle, and then one at the bottom. And that's just going to kind of hold everything in place. I just want it to make sure that it lines up with this left edge here. So something like that. Then I've got my greetings, which I'll put down in a minute. I'm going to add the greeting hope, which it already comes like this, and it just needs a little adhesive on the back to hold some ribbon. So this is the ribbon that came in the kit. It's got this beautiful weave to it, and there's really not a lot, so we're going to kind of maximize as much as we can from it. So I'm going to cut a 12-inch piece, and then I'm going to find the end, and I'm going to pull out some of the strings. So you just kind of start to unravel it a little bit, and then you'll see some of these long strings, and you'll want about 4 or 5. So I've got 4 right there. And you just kind of crinkle it down and pull that out. The first ones are always a little tighter to pull out. Once you start to loosen up that ribbon, the rest come out pretty easily. Okay, so keep those together, and on the back, you're going to add the center of that 12 inches to the back here. Wrap it around your finger to create a faux bow. And then do it again. We're going to double that up a little bit. So go ahead and wrap that around once again to create a nice thick bow for your greeting. Okay, then you can kind of just arrange it how you want it. Fluff it up a little bit. I am going to trim the sides down. And then I'm going to add this with a dimensional right over those pieces of twine and just at an angle like that. Now we'll add our other parts of the greeting, and you can use glue dots for this. And you just add them to either the top and bottom, depending on which part it is. Just make sure they're not being covered up by the ribbon. Okay, so that card is ready for some of the sequins. And so we'll do those sequins near the end for all the cards at the same time. All right, so let's go ahead and move on to card number 2. We're going to be creating that 3-panel look with the Bermuda Bay piece that comes in the kit. And this one we're going to cut to 1 3/16. So it's just shy of 1 1/4. So 1 3/16. And then just double check that one. It may just need to have a little bit trimmed off just to make them all nice and even. Then we're going to be doing the same technique with our grid paper. You just want to line those up. I'm going to put a little washi tape on this side to hold it in place. And then the width that we're going is 3 inches and 3/4. So 3 3/4 inches. So 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. So right to here. So we're going to go ahead and line that one up. And then place this one in between and just kind of eyeball. I'm going to move this washi tape so it's going this right direction. Okay, so 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. Line it up right there. And then eyeball this one in place. And then I can just add this washi tape right over those 3 panels. And we'll do the same down here. So then this is just going to get flipped over just like our other one, and we'll add dimensionals. Okay, so I've added those dimensionals, and we're just going to center this again on our card base. And again, I'm using a basic white thick cardstock. Just kind of eyeballing where that center is. And then go ahead and remove the washi tape once that's in place. So it should look something like this. And now we're going to add some fun elements. So I do have one of the banner pieces that is in the kit. I'm just going to add a little bit of glue to the edges and the center. And that's going to just be at a slight angle in the center, maybe a little lower than middle. Then we'll take the other side piece and we're going to fussy cut this as well. And then this is going to go on top at a little angle too. So add some glue behind those elements. Then I've got a strip of cardstock. This is 3/8 of an inch width and 2.5 inches wide. And I'm stamping the "Where there is faith, miracles happen." And that's just going in the Blackberry Bliss as well. This piece I did have to cut from some basic white cardstock. And it is just barely large enough. So you may have a couple areas where the greeting comes off, like down here at the P's. And that's going to go right here. We are going to, again, grab that 12-inch piece that we cut and remove a couple of the strings from the center. So go ahead and grab, like I said, 4 or 5. If by chance they kind of come out and they're not even, you can just kind of line up one side and then just kind of bring them all back together. So for this one, I actually just tied a regular bow with these. So I found the center and then just tied a bow. Try to keep everything nice and big. You have plenty of twine. And then it just kind of helps so that you don't get tangled up. And again, when you manipulate your bow, you want to make sure you pull on all pieces at the same time so that they all move together. So we want a nice kind of floppy bow here, and I'm going to add that with a glue dot to my card. And then go ahead and trim the ends. And we'll add our greeting with dimensionals. And that goes straight. So everything else is a little crooked. We want this to go on nice and straight. I'm going to actually bring it down just a little bit so we see a little more of that butterfly. Just like that. And this card is now ready for those sequins. We'll do that again in a minute. So for our third card, we're going to use that center panel that we cut just as our main element and then just add a greeting. So you do need to have a piece of cardstock that is slightly larger than this. So this is 2.5 inches by 4 1/4. And so you need one that is 2 3/4 inches by 4 1/4. And then you're just going to add this right to the center. I am using the Pool Party card base that came in the kit. And I'm going to add this to the center with dimensionals. Then we've got our greeting label, which is the circle from the kit. And we're going to stamp the Just a Note of Hope in the center in the Blackberry Bliss ink. Then we will add some twine to the back. So grab that piece again, and again, just pull out some extra pieces. On the back of your circle, add a little bit of adhesive, and then you're just going to wrap this around. So find the center, place that in the center of your circle, and again, just like we did for the first card, you just want to kind of wrap back and forth. Add a dimensional or two. And that can go right over the bottom corner here. And then that card is ready for sequins too. So let's go ahead and grab those sequins and our cards. So with your Take a Pick tool, you're just going to add a couple sequins around your card, and I'm doing 3 for each. I've actually made quite a number of cards with this kit, and I want to make sure they each have a little touch of sequins to them, and so I'm just going to add 3 to each. So 1 up there on the top and 2 at the bottom, and then this one here. We'll do 2 at the top for this one, maybe add another one up on there, and then 1 on the bottom. Well, I hope you enjoyed watching me create my first alternative projects using the August 2021 Paper Pumpkin Kit. If you're interested in getting your own kit, please sign up using the link in the description box below. If you'd like to see written instructions or close-up images showing you how to create these cards, you can visit my blog, creativechelsey.com. Thank you so much for watching. Have a creative day. Bye.